Hi, I'm Nora, and welcome back to Novels with Nora. Today, I'm going to be talking about TikTok, specifically the TikTok ban, and what I think we can bring with us from TikTok to whatever platform we end up on next, and what I think we should leave on the decaying app of TikTok. So I think, like any social media platform, TikTok obviously has its pitfalls and its downsides, but I also think that there's a lot of good that came from TikTok. I talk a lot on this channel about wanting to build a sense of community and wanting to have a sense of community. And I think TikTok as a social media platform really enabled people to build a community. TikTok really just had its own culture that other apps just are not really able to capture in the way that TikTok did. I think that we saw a lot of different colloquialisms and different phrases come out of TikTok that have kind of transferred into other social platforms, but not in the way that they have on TikTok. I'm sure there's plenty that you're thinking of right now, but TikTok really just had its own subculture that other apps just don't have. And I think that's something that's really interesting and is in favor of TikTok, is the way that it brought people together. And obviously, I'm not trying to negate all of the bad that came from TikTok with the overconsumption and just the hate that people can now spew because so many people are putting themselves out there. But on top of that, we also had just regular everyday people posting things and being able to reach such a wide array of people who are either sharing their opinions or are having new opinions shown to them, new perspectives shown to them, and they're learning. And I think that's something that, being a short form platform, TikTok was really able to do very well, in that if I see a YouTube video talking about a book that's outside of a genre that I typically read, and it's a 10-minute long video, the chances of me clicking on it, slim to none. I'm scrolling through TikTok and I come across a video talking about a book that I wouldn't normally pick up because it's outside of my typical genres. I can't see how long the video is. I might sit and watch even just for a few seconds, but I'm already gaining new perspectives just from those few seconds. And I think that's something that TikTok captures really well, is the ability to see outside of ourselves for some people. Obviously, if you're not open-minded in that way, then it's not going to do anything for you. But it really enabled people to see new perspectives, because I feel like a lot of other platforms, they're really built for content creators and influencers. On Instagram, you kind of have to already have a following in order to get any of your content pushed out. Where on TikTok, you can be just a regular everyday person posting a day in my life video, and next thing you know, you can have millions of people seeing you. Which again, there's downsides in that, but at the same time, we're seeing things that we hadn't seen before. We're seeing everyday people going about their everyday lives. And that's not really something that we see on YouTube or Instagram, because the people whose content is being pushed are people who already have big platforms. Where on TikTok, it was people who, just everyday people who don't necessarily have a platform, but might have something interesting to say. And I think TikTok did a really good job with that, in making it so that we could see everyone's perspective, not just the people who we already follow. So I think there's that for sure. Circling back to that sense of community, TikTok also was super powerful in making people's voices heard, like we saw with the Fable incident, which, if you aren't familiar, Fable is a book tracking app that had an AI generated reading wrap up, and it had some more than questionable things in these reading wrap ups. And the outcry of people on different social media platforms, not just TikTok, but TikTok specifically, caused the creator of the app to get on TikTok and be like, we've heard you, we're making change. So clearly TikTok has, and people on TikTok have the capacity for change making. We don't always see it used in that way, but the capacity is there. People just need to take the initiative to make that change. And in several ways, we did see that happen. I mean, so many things happened on TikTok and then, yes, transferred over to other things. But look at the no-buy movement that's happened. It started on TikTok, at least in my opinion. Obviously, people were doing it before social media probably, but we really saw it on TikTok, and it's blown up into this huge thing where people are really making lifestyle changes and connecting to people doing the same thing and building community around this idea that was just a social media trend at one point. I think that something about TikTok just having, again, random everyday people being able to post these videos has really created a sense of community. People don't always feel super connected to just random influencers, but when it's just a regular person who you might have gone to class with, or you might see out on the street, these people we can build connections with. Not that we can't build connections with influencers and content creators, but sometimes they just feel not quite grounded in the way that TikTok helps kind of a lot of people feel grounded. Because while Instagram is a great app, it can definitely be fostered there, it was built on like aesthetics and just the way things look at a quick glance, where TikTok really is about just like sitting down, filming. That's what it is. There's not really, obviously some people have like fancy backgrounds and like all this like setup, but a lot of the time it's just like people sitting in their cars talking. And I think that's really something that TikTok has that no other app has, because like on YouTube, it's all long form content. I'm not just going to sit here and talk for like 30 seconds about like some guy I met in the store who was kind of weird, where on TikTok that's going to happen. And then people can be like, oh my God, I had a very similar experience. And then we can all bond in that way. So TikTok is just really an interesting app for that. And now switching gears into more like the book community, TikTok has been so fundamental and instrumental in pushing reading and books into so many new spheres. Like, I mean, when was the last time you walked into a Barnes & Noble and didn't see the BookTok table? Truly, TikTok has evolved reading and books, for the better and the worse in both ways, but has really just enabled people to get the word out there. Think of how many authors have been able to use TikTok to promote their books and make it so that they're getting readers. And now this is their career because of TikTok. And now when TikTok's gone, they're going to lose that. Think of how many different industries use social media marketing, specifically on TikTok, to market whatever it is that they have. TikTok is really the platform where we're seeing a lot of this happen. And once it's gone, I'm really curious to see how companies and industries are going to switch. Are we going to be going to YouTube? I'm really interested to see how that works. But I feel like for BookTok specifically, TikTok has really enabled just this like huge array and community of readers to all come together. And like, yes, you see a lot of like the same books being talked about over and over on BookTok. But once you dig deeper than that and you actually engage with the community further, there's so many different types of books and different types of people promoting different types of books. And it's been really amazing to see all these like indie authors whose books have blown up, and just like the way they're able to create like a quick video, and next thing you know, they have like hundreds of copies of their books sold. So in that way, I think TikTok has been truly instrumental in pushing indie authors, which is fabulous because we all know the problems with the publishing industry and how hard it is to break into that. But TikTok has really enabled so many people to like achieve their dreams. And I think that's something that we shouldn't take for granted, because no other platform has been able to do that as quickly as TikTok has. The app definitely has its flaws, and I don't want to discount that, because there are a lot of things wrong with short form content, especially on TikTok. Our attention spans being severely limited, for one, and then obviously getting banned is going to definitely help decrease our screen time and make it so that we're not constantly glued to our phones. But also, the banning of TikTok is just going to lead to the rise of the next app. It's not like banning this is going to be like, okay, well, short form content is done, I'm done on my phone, we're moving on to all being incredible thinkers. That's not what's going to happen. Something else is going to rise and take its place, and it might be something worse. We don't know at the moment. But also, I think all of the attention, especially from our government, that is being placed on TikTok when it could be placed on so many more important things, is really something that I think we need to think about deeper. And also, I think part of the reason that TikTok is being banned, and that people in the government might be happy that it's getting banned, is that TikTok really enables us to connect. It makes it so that we can disseminate information so much, like instantaneously. We can disseminate information at the drop of a hat. Something can happen in one part of the world and we know about it within seconds. And that's dangerous. It can be used for the good, and it has been, but it can also, for people who don't want that information shared, can be looked at as, we need to put an end to this. And I think that might be part of what we're seeing. I feel like there needs to be something in place where just because TikTok's gone doesn't mean that we need to stop sharing information. It means we need to share more information, like now more than ever, because clearly something is happening here that is working. And I think we just need to make sure that we're keeping the spirit of TikTok alive, if that's not too dramatic for you. But truly, TikTok has enabled us to spread information so quickly and galvanize us and just mobilize like a whole new generation of people. Like, look at this past election. The way that people in my generation have really shown up using social media to help spread news of politics and world events. It's more than just a silly little app for posting your dancing videos. It truly has evolved so far beyond that. And I think that's the spirit of TikTok that we need to keep alive wherever we end up next. Switching back to BookTok here for a second, I think that truly, again, BookTok really helped to bring a community together. I think that no other social platform has been able to do what TikTok has been able to do in as short of a time. Yes, Bookstagram and BookTube have been around for a very long time and have done amazing things on their own, but they've taken time to build up to what they are. Where I feel like BookTok came like this and is going to be gone just like that. but truly the way people have blown up on BookTok and have been able to make careers out of it and have been able to promote books that we probably never would have heard of without people on TikTok promoting them. I think there's a lot to be said about algorithms, obviously, but like, if I got up on YouTube and started posting video about books that no one's ever heard of, no one's clicking on those videos, no one's watching those videos, no one's hearing what I have to say. If I got on TikTok and started saying the same things, people are more likely to stick around for the few seconds of the video, even just a few seconds. Even if it's like a longer video, they might stick around for a few seconds to just hear what I have to say and then maybe get intrigued and watch the whole thing. There is something to be said about short form content and being able to pull people in and get them to hear things that they wouldn't otherwise hear, because they're more likely to sit down and listen to a short video where they can't see how long it is, rather than clicking on like a 10-minute video of something they're not that interested in, even if it's something that they might be interested in and just don't know it yet. So BookTok has really enabled so many different authors and so many different types of readers to really put things out there. Like, how many book recommendations have you gotten from BookTok and that you never would have picked up otherwise, but you saw someone talking about it and you're like, oh, if I read the description, would not have been interested, but the way they explained it, I want to read it. And I think there's just really something to be said about how TikTok has really galvanized a new generation of readers, and also has enabled readers to all come together. How many book clubs and different things have come out of BookTok? Like, the hype around certain books, whether they deserve it or not, has brought so many people together and has created such huge senses of community, even if you've never met these people in person. I think also TikTok has a really interesting way of communication between the content creator and the audience, where like on YouTube, I can post this video and people can leave comments and I can respond to those comments, but then that's the end of that. And it's similar on Instagram, where on TikTok, you post your video, people comment, and then they might engage with each other in the comments, which is something I don't see on Instagram as much. Maybe I'm just in the wrong comment sections, but on TikTok, someone will comment and then other people will comment back and like have conversations in the comments. And then also, because of like the duet and like respond to comment features, the creators can then go back and respond to comments and build the conversations deeper, which is not something that exists on other platforms. So TikTok is really doing great things. It has its downfalls. It's leaving us, so there's not really much we can do now. But yes, it has negative sides. Any social platform is going to have that. But TikTok really did for so many communities what no other social platform has been able to do, specifically the book community. And I think we'd be remiss to ignore any of those things. So this was kind of a rambly video. I just wanted to get my thoughts out there. Let me know what you think about the TikTok ban, and don't forget to like and subscribe if you thought this was interesting and you want to hear more from me. Okay, thanks for watching. Bye!